a separate system to manage your customer relationships and sales kind of functions, or your service functions, to the system that you use to manage your manufacturing or supply chain management. An issue that you run into with that, and we'll cover this a little bit more on the next slide, but is that when you're using multiple different systems to manage different processes across the organization, things become disjointed, and you kind of expose yourself to more and more points of failure there. But what Business Central is it's basically, again, a platform solution that encompasses all of these things, from financial management to project management to sales to service to manufacturing and supply chain. So it's broadly used for, by companies that just need one or two of these things, but also used by organizations that need all of these things. So if you do manufacturing, it can work for you. If you just need something, if you just do kind of like drop shipping, and you need to manage your inventory and your supply chain as you fulfill orders, you need to kick off invoices and stuff like that, just managing the financial side of the business, it can also just do that. It's also you'll note here, a small to medium sized business solution. So this is a really good step up if you're currently working on something like a QuickBooks to manage the financials for your business and the accounting, invoicing, POs, etc. Business Central, we find, is usually like the next step up from companies that are working off of QuickBooks. Okay, so like I was saying, we found that a lot of the challenges and pain points that companies run into with the way that they manage their business is, for the most part, they fall into these three buckets. So the first is you've got multiple different line of business applications managing different parts of the organization. An example of that is, the manufacturing department uses a custom piece of software to track the widgets and calculate their scrap, and also define which workshops or machines are used throughout the process. And then you've got like sales in the company using a totally different system to place like orders, production orders, and stuff like that. So the systems don't talk. And then maybe you've got a completely different system for warehousing. So your warehousing team is doing like pick and ship and put away stuff out of a totally different system, and none of these things talk. And that's just it leads to like potentially a nightmare situation as you're trying to kind of reconcile things and make sure your inventory is correct across all these different systems and your accounting is correct, right? So the next leg up for a lot of companies out there, moving off of all those disjointed line of business applications, is kind of a platform all-in-one solution like Business Central. The second kind of challenge that we note a lot with companies is they've got a lot of manual processes and workarounds kind of built in throughout their workflow. A lot of kind of points where somebody has to manually interject with the process or take something and put it over here. What's nice about Business Central is you can configure automated workflows pretty easily to streamline and automate those processes. And that kind of value add speaks for itself there. There's not much more I can say than you can automate a lot of things. And and then the final kind of bucket of issues that we find companies falling into is, again, just disconnect. It's hard to reconcile all of your documentation, pricing, and all that, but to collaborate. So two of these issues are from kind of those disconnected line of business applications. One, making decision making harder; the other, making it difficult to collaborate. And then, of course, interjecting with manual workarounds. Not only does it make things inefficient with those processes, but every manual input or process that you interject in your workflow is another point of failure that you're introducing to the business. So we've also kind of put together a list of challenges that some of you guys have sent over to us, and kind of spelled out how Business Central can help with those challenges. And the first one was people having issues with stockouts and overstocking. And what's nice about Business Central is you have near real time. Well, you have real time inventory tracking. There's also capabilities around automated reordering and optimizing your stock levels. So, really comprehensive supply chain management and logistics tools built into Business Central that I'll showcase a bit later on in the presentation. The second is uh, people need better management of their customer relationship interactions. So Business Central does have a built-in CRM that allows you to um, kind of uh, track your customer interactions back and forth, create customer profiles, and associate contacts with that customer. But you can also define things at a customer level, like they get a customer gets a certain discount on certain products, or this customer pays this way or needs to be invoiced this way. There's a lot of customization that makes it really easy to work with customers, no matter how they prefer to do business with you, which is really nice. And another challenge that we've heard is that people with whatever current systems are using, they have inefficient insights to help with decision making. So Business Central has some really robust reporting capabilities, and there's robust reporting capabilities, whether that comes to like looking at the chart of accounts, or your invoices, reconciling bank accounts, doing tasks like that. But there's also a tie-in with Microsoft's business intelligence software, Power BI, so you can populate your kind of dashboards with custom tiles using whatever data that you need to visualize to help you make decisions. So I guess in a nutshell, to summarize on that last point, there's a lot of built-in, really awesome business intelligence capabilities that are going to help you make better decisions. But there's also that customizability aspect of Dynamics that allows you to pull in other business intelligence solutions to make better decisions. So how can the right system unlock growth? Like we were just talking about, it helps you make better decisions with more access to data and improved analytics, which is ultimately going to lead to more effective strategies and better business practices and performance. The right system should eliminate manual workarounds, as Business Central does. It allows you to easily create automated workflows to streamline processes, which is going to ultimately reduce the risk of errors and save valuable time. It automates key processes using AI. So there is this really awesome tool inside of Business Central called Sales Order Agent, and I'm going to play a video for you guys in a bit to show you what that can do. But it essentially can walk a rep from a customer reaching out asking for a quote. It can automatically kind of go into the inventory system, find the items that the customer is looking for, put together that quote, and then show it to you and ask for your approval to send it to the customer. And then if they approve it, it can start a sales order and kick out an invoice. So there's this really nice kind of automated tool that your users can kind of just monitor and approve as it works through an entire sales process in there. But there's also these tiles throughout Business Central that give you kind of enhanced overviews or summaries of what you're looking at using AI, and I'll showcase those as well when we open up the Business Central to show you guys around. The right system should help with compliance. This is a huge, it's very critical aspect of running, a lot of businesses. Some businesses need to comply with audit requirements and regulations. Business Central is one of the only SMB solutions out there that is going to allow for enough tracking capabilities around, put away, ship, how each component of products are treated throughout the manufacturing process, all the tax and regulatory requirements, depending on where you're shipping things through to or who you're selling to. It's one of the only solutions that allows for you to track all of that to make sure you're maintaining compliance, relatively easily. The right platform should enhance your digital security. Obviously, that's essential. With Microsoft, you're using single sign-on and Entra, so everything is, there's no doubt that everything is secure, even if you have folks working off of their cell phone or laptop as they're traveling around, the country. They're authenticating in and taking advantage of Microsoft's robust security. Lastly, boosting productivity. The ideal platform solution to manage your business with should boost productivity, right? And the way Business Central does that is by connecting to the rest of the Microsoft ecosystem within tools that people are likely already using to interact with customers, like Outlook. Maybe you have folks that are really used to working out of Excel or Teams. Business Central integrates with all of that seamlessly, so you don't have to worry about people having to kind of change their habits too much. And I'll showcase how Business Central looks in a bit when you're working out of just Outlook, because that's another nice thing. It really enhances the adoption, organization wide, when you can kind of let folks continue to work out of Outlook and Excel, but all what they do and all the processes that they work through are automatically tracked back to like the central platform of Business Central. So moving on here, what can Business Central do to transform your organization? It's going to help you adapt faster, work smarter, and perform better. These are all kind of self-explanatory, but the way it's going to help you adapt faster is by being scalable and integrating, throughout the Microsoft ecosystem. Similar to how it's going to help you work smarter. You're able to collaborate using the Microsoft stack like Teams, but also there's a lot of enhancement with Copilot that helps your users kind of make better informed decisions as they work through these processes. And it's going to help you perform better by delivering, the information needed to make better decisions via, flexible reports, real-time dashboards. It's going to enhance, your business by connecting all the processes you do across your entire company, and then delivering on data-driven information, or delivering real-time information so you can make data-driven decisions. Kind of skipping ahead here. So the slide just kind of, further emphasizes everything that Business Central can tie into, whether it's on the productivity and collaboration side with Teams and the rest of the Microsoft ecosystem, to the low-code side of Power Platform, which is a lot to even, kind of scrape the surface there. But another way that Business Central is scalable is you can develop kind of low-code modular applications for specific business processes if you'd like to, and roll those out with things like Power Apps. There's also, automations and workflows that you can build out to start to take those manual tasks and processes that people are doing day to day, and just have a robot do them, free up those people's time and allow them to go out there and grow the business, right? And then, another way is with insights and analytics. But this is just kind of, showcasing everything that Business Central can tie into within the Microsoft ecosystem to kind of enhance and help you grow your business. Cool. So, how does Business Central, help with increasing, financial visibility, boosting your sales? How does it help finish your projects on time? And how can it help with, your supply chain management and organizing your inventory? So on the first bucket here, where it comes to financial visibility and performance, it's going to help you take control of your financial data, forecast your cash flow using AI. Like I said, there's also AI functionality around reconciling your bank accounts. In Business Central integrates pretty seamlessly with, your bank account. Um, uh, or payroll systems or whatever you're using for money to go out, right? As well as anything to, kind of receive money, and it makes it really easy to do the accounting kind of at the end of the year with all of the it's tough to just, tell instead of show, but there's a ton of enhanced functionality around the chart of accounts and your general ledger, and being able to define different dimensions to sort through and uh, create, different reports around the financial side of the business. So we'll showcase a little bit more of that later. For boosting sales and improving customer service, you've got things like Sales Order Agent that's going to help accelerate your sales process by essentially guiding your reps through it and doing a lot of the hard parts for you, like searching through inventory to find products or suggest different products if some are unavailable. It's going to enhance the amount, the kind of service that you're able to deliver to customers, and improve the customer journey. How does it help with finishing projects on time? It can improve your project costing, optimize resource levels, drive additional profitability, and enhance your team's productivity. We'll take a look at Business Central and some of what it can do on that end as well in a bit here. And then when it comes to optimizing your inventory and your supply chain management, it's going to allow you to have a holistic view of your entire inventory, but not just that. And it's going to allow you to manage your manufacturing, align supply with demand, and improve your warehouse management. But there's a lot that I'll show you guys where you can kind of define specific rules for, how scrap is calculated, how things are picked and put away and shipped, and all of that really makes for really on the nose kind of reporting when it comes to your inventory and your supply chain, that allows for you to never miss out on a sale because you're unable to supply something. So on the financial visibility and performance, this is kind of what like the dashboards and different tiles look like. This is just a kind of a landing page view of your ongoing sales, ongoing purchases, payments. You can see there's different. This visual is just top 5 customers by sales value, right? There's a bunch of different built-in visuals you can kind of flip through to get an overhead view of the business. And then here we've got kind of like a balance sheet. All of this is highly customizable, so bear in mind, depending on what you need to see day to day across all the different roles in your company, this can be kind of customized and tailored to be what folks need to see. There's also, this is that, kind of tie into Outlook. There's also this really nice kind of widget you can open up when you're working through an email. And here we've got a rep that's talking with somebody named Robert Towns, who just reached out asking for, some chairs and a table. And when you open up the Business Central widget inside of Outlook, it's going to say, it's going to tell you basically the entire sell to customer sales history, how many opportunities, quotes, cases, and other things, that you have going on with that company. So it just makes it easier for your reps to work when they're able to just click a button and get an all-up view of that customer and what's going on, and see, do we already have an invoice out for this, or do we already have a quote that we sent out for this that we should be referencing? You can also generate quotes from here as well. I've got a, see if I can pull it up here. I've got a example that I wanted to show you guys around this. So this is just a sample email that I sent myself, and you can see I opened up the Contact Insights widget to look at, to get this kind of view of what's going on with this customer. Let me close it and reopen it because I opened it a few hours ago. So we can have it refresh. Cool. So if there were, documents associated with this customer, they'd show here. You can see I've got their, balance information, past due, year-to-date sales, etc. I've got different aged accounts, receivable reports I can flip through from year to month to quarter. I've got their sell to customer sales history, so ongoing sales orders, ongoing invoices, posted shipments, etc., customer statistics. So just tons and tons of information about this customer that, kind of arms me, or that I'm arming myself with as I'm working with them. I can also kind of hit this widget here, or this these three dots here, and just create a sales quote right here and send it to them, or an order, or an invoice, or credit memo, right? Contract. I can go in and adjust the discount that they get on certain products. I can do, kind of some reconciliation tasks, looking at ledger entries or approvals, your bank accounts, etc. So tons of capabilities here. And by the way, Business Central is great if you've got, you're kind of a parent company managing a lot of companies under you. You can configure Business Central so that it encompasses all of those organizations as well. It's just something I think is good to call out. But yeah, moving ahead from that, this is kind of a look at your project management, the project management side of Business Central. And essentially you've got here like a table with all the different phases and task numbers, and you can see how much you can really define here that's going to make tracking and accounting and ultimately costing the project a lot easier over time. You can also collaborate on projects via Teams. When you share, links to those projects, you can either embed them, into Teams, or you can share links to go to that job card. Okay, so on the inventory and supply chain management side, I think it's best to probably jump into Business Central to show you guys more around this. But like I had mentioned earlier, you can easily do, your order planning. You can configure things to automatically replenish and set, very specific replenishment rules. You can set up, what suppliers you're replenishing from. If replenishing a product is actually you doing a manufacturing process, you can have that kick off a production order, kind of automatically as your inventory hits a certain threshold on an item. You can have it kick off production. And then when that production starts, let's say, raw materials and certain things aren't at the right levels to complete that production, you can have your supply chain management automatically kind of replenish, whatever materials are needed throughout that manufacturing process to get that order out. So really nice once you kind of configure everything. Things become more automatic, where maybe you tie in your e-commerce or something like that, and a customer orders something that you either need to stock from a supplier or manufacture from scratch. And all of the processes associated with either of those tasks, you can kind of fully automate. This is just kind of calling out all of the AI tools that are built into Business Central. There's a lot. I'll kind of showcase those when I pull up Business Central to show you around. And that brings me to Copilot within Business Central. So I think that this is the um, video that I wanted to play for you guys. You'll have to let me know, Carl, if there's sound when I hit play here or
Okay.
not. Oh, you might have to just open it in a new tab. Yeah, here we go. That's one that's loading. I don't, I think whatever reason that isn't loading, I'll just show you guys around in a minute here. We jump over to Business Central. There was another video that I wanted to showcase. So there's a ton of buzz around AI, right? And the important thing to call out here is that Microsoft's been a leader in that space through Copilot, and there's a ton of integration into Business Central with Copilot that allows you to do things like completely take on an entire process, like we talked about with Sales Order Agent, but also summarize things and give really awesome breakdowns and information to people so they can make better decisions as they're working through and looking at different things, whether that's like the chart of accounts or general ledger, or they're looking at a customer and trying to get some insight around recent opportunities or things like that. AI via Copilot is fully baked in to help throughout that. So Microsoft actually did a TOI or PEI, a total economic impact report and study around Business Central to kind of better understand the financial return for folks that implement Business Central. And I'll skip over the details of how they aggregated different companies and into a single organization to get their kind of baseline for the report. But ultimately, the study revealed an ROI of 172% over 3 years, with up to 18% in productivity improvements for finance and operations staff. The period that it took for that payoff was remarkably short, just 7 months. And you can kind of see here, some of the ways that it saved money and helped the organization over 3 years. Cool. And this is just a case study around a business that implemented Business Central to help. So Hartman's is a jewelry company. They've got a goal of responsibly sourcing all of their materials. And as a jewelry company, they also have a very complicated supply chain, needing to source, different minerals from all over the world. So they use Business Central to accomplish this. And the impact there is that the enhanced supply chain and logistics, kind of tracking features in Business Central allowed for them to successfully handle their sourcing of materials responsibly. Cool. Moving on here. So Business Central, it's cloud-based. Got deep functionality with built-in best practices that you can define. It's got open architecture and easily connects with any other existing systems that you're using. So if there is like a existing system you use for part of the business and there's just no way you can foresee ever giving that up. No sweat. Business Central can just integrate with it. Again, highly customizable, depending on what you need it to do for each position across the organization, what you need it to integrate with, and what you need to automate. Business Central can help with all of that. Very robust, flexible reporting and analysis tools that should help you make data-driven decisions. And it's very easy to deploy compared to other enterprise resource planning solutions out there. Cool. So I'll drop a link in the chat to spin up a trial of this if anyone's interested. And with that, I'll just pull up my demo environment and show you guys around Business Central real quick, and then hopefully we can questions for you guys. I know I've talked for a solid 30 minutes here.
Yeah. And while Anthony is pulling up that demo, I'd just like to point out I dropped a couple links in the chat that have high-level views of both Business Central and the CRM that Dynamics offers, Dynamics 365 Sales. That one dives a little deeper. There's a lot of great content on YouTube if you want to explore functionality, find demos, and really see some of the features, because we're not going to be able to cover everything here today. So I would really encourage anybody that is interested in these applications to explore YouTube a little bit, and you'll see some great presentations on there that'll give you a clearer picture. Maybe if there's one particular feature or function that you're interested in, then you'll be able to find that showcased on YouTube. And just to the point of the benefits of Business Central, this is the critical business application amongst all of them. So it's what you run your business on. Nothing is more important. And it's very disruptive when you have to upgrade, whether it's on the hardware or on the software side. So having a scalable solution in the cloud, now all of a sudden your most important business application is always on, always up to date in the cloud, and you're just paying that bill like the electric bill, and you never have to worry about it again. So that's really, I think, one of the most important features of getting that ERP into the cloud. You've got 5 nines of availability and protection on the security side. So you've got it locked down, always up, always available anywhere in the world.
Yes. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Yeah, so this is Business Central, and in here you've got a ton of different views, like I called out earlier, depending on your role in the organization. If we go into settings here, right now I'm under the business manager role, but maybe I do manufacturing and I'm the manufacturing manager. There's a role built out for that with all these tiles and buttons kind of customized for that role. Same goes for the sales order processor or service manager or warehouse worker, right? If you have a warehouse where you need to physically scan things, you can tie in kind of devices to Business Central for barcode scanners. Same goes for like point of sale systems, or again, e-commerce. You can see right at the top we've got native connection into Shopify if that's what you use, but don't distress if you use something else for your e-commerce or something custom. You can easily integrate that instead. From the business manager role that I'm in right now, we can see here I've got some tasks that have showed up from sales order agent. And if I go to, if I look through some of these here, bear with me because this is just a demo environment here. So I've used up kind of my free credits to try out sales order agent. So I'll show you kind of what it did though. Essentially, as emails come in, it's digesting them and kind of breaking down what it is. And this is an email that came in asking for a quote for 6 desks and 12 chairs, right? It automatically identified that this contact is with a Datum, which is one of the customers here. And then from there, would just, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And then the next thing it did was inform me that the desks are not available that this person is asking for, based on the quantity that they were looking for. So it let me know that, and then it pulls up all the available chairs, and I can either select a different one here or just give it the thumbs up and let it continue. And then it actually put together this email and sent it out, saying, hey, unfortunately, we don't have any desks available right now. However, we do have several options for chairs. And it gave them, the item number and description for all of them along with a price. Right. And it just did this automatically. And then if I, as a customer, were to respond to this and say, yep, give me a quote for the London swivel chair, it would ask me if it wanted me to automatically kick out that quote as well. So it's kind of your assistant to work through an entire, business process, whatever you do, whether it's the sales side or invoicing, or whether you do kind of like production orders with manufacturing, sales order agents there to help. That aside, you can see we've got kind of some buttons up here, drop downs that for different categories of stuff. One of the major ones is the chart of accounts. A lot of times we hear a very popular move is from QuickBooks over to Business Central, and the main reason for that is the amount of accounts that you can kind of define here on the chart of accounts. I've heard that this is pretty limited on QuickBooks. This allows for you to kind of break things down across a lot of different accounts very easily. If we were to click into any of these, like get to leased assets there, you can see the amount of stuff that you can configure to help with your reporting. So just a lot more. Not the most exciting feature, right? But if you're an accountant, it probably is exciting to you. If we were to look at bank accounts, I called out bank account reconciliation earlier on. It makes it easy to kind of look at. See, there's just a reconcile button there, but I can also, reconcile using Copilot here, and you can see it's already matched all the lines for me between bank statements and then ledger entries. So that's really nice. And backing up here, we've got, for the CRM functionality, kind of a customer section where you input your different customers here. As I click on them, I'm going to get a different cell to customer sales history, right? Along with statistics and payments and credit, limit, et cetera, if they have one. That can all be managed in here. If we go to one of these profiles, like a Datum Corporation, for example, you can see how much I can configure for these guys. It's going to make it easy to do business with them, over time. From like approvals, maybe there's a specific approval process when you send an invoice over to them, they approve it. And then it kicks off like a production order or something like that. All that can be automated. You can see I've got a ton of fields here to define, how they're invoiced, their address and contact information, obviously, but how shipping works for this customer, if it's different, than usual. And then, their overall statistics. On this right-hand pane, I have sort of this summary that Copilot put together to give me like a real quick overview of everything going on with this customer. You can see we've got functionality around pricing and discounts where I can apply specific line discounts to specific items for this customer if I wanted to, or just, an across-the-board discount for a customer, right? So that makes it easy. And then you've got actions, this action section that allows you to, you could define custom like functions or workflows or approvals for specific customers as well. So the ton. There's also reporting. There's reports, canned reports you can generate for at the customer level. going back, let's look at the kind of items. So inventory. Few different ways we can look at it. I like this tiled view. And as we click through, you know, these items, you can see kind of an overview of each. If we click on one of them, this is where, you know, part of the manufacturing or supply chain process comes in. We can define how inventory works, what stock out, you know, should we do a stock out warning? Right. Obviously, everything's being tracked right now. Quantity on hand, quantity on a purchase order that's pending. Are there prices and discounts at the item level? We've got that summary again right here, but we can also define how we replenish, right? So that it's automatic. And if this is manufactured, I can, you know, put together like a made to order or made to stock policy and define a routing number. And that routing is essentially the manufacturing process, all the different machine shops it's going to go to, which machines it's being, you know, it's touching throughout that process, et cetera. And that's going to allow you to also track, you know, the wear and tear on your machines, and your scrap and all of that. And then we've got this planning section. If it's, you know, just something that you reorder, reorder process, reordering policy, you can define item tracking, and then you can specify, you know, custom warehouse rules for how this is put away. It doesn't need a specific temperature. Is this food that we're, you know, we're manufacturing here? Are we making like ice cream, and we probably want to store it at a certain temperature, right? So all of that can be kind of configured at the item level, and once you do, you know, once all that's set up and configured for you, things become automatic for the business, and it unlocks a ton of time savings and just, you know, like I mentioned, information that allows you to make data-driven decisions. So that being said, it's kind of a very quick overview of business